Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Testing Mini Bytes. I am your friend Amudal Shaktivel. Today we will see one of the interesting topic, as we all know from the title. We're gonna implement the cross-browser testing, okay, into our framework. We are, so far we have only dealt with the Chrome browser, but we are going to now deal with Firefox as well. Again, you can add this or implement the same for your Safari or IE browser based on your requirement. But I'm gonna restrict myself from only doing it with Chrome and Firefox. Okay, if you want to extend for other browsers, you can do that as well. Again, guys, if you are new here, please do subscribe to the channel, so that it can motivate me to push myself to produce good videos. Okay, again, if you find my videos little slow, please change the playback settings to 1.5 or 2 so that you don't feel any slowness. Okay, now we'll get started. Okay, first we'll understand what we're going to see in today's video. The first one, we have already implemented the retry analyzer, and automatically our failed test will be retried. But if you notice, we don't have any control. So if you want to switch it on or switch it off, how can we do that? Okay, based on some settings in the property file, suppose I don't want to retry when it is failing. Okay, I need to have the control with myself, okay, in the property file. How can we do that? That's what we're going to see first. And we'll also have some small issues in our framework. We'll try to fix that, and then we'll see how we can extend the framework to support multiple browser. Then you'll also understand what is the issue with the current implementation. Okay, if you don't understand this fourth point, that's absolutely fine. You can understand what after I implement the third one. Okay, so please have the patience. And at the end, we'll also see what is the native dependency injection. How can it help to solve the problem that we have in the fourth point. Okay, so again, if this might be little confusing now, but believe me, you will understand what it is. Again, using the dependency injection, we will solve the issue. Okay, this is what going to be the agenda for today's class. Okay, now let me go to the Eclipse workspace, and the first thing, okay, we have already written some retry logic. Okay, this is our retry failed test where we have written our logic to retry. Okay, we have controlled uh, this with a simple logic. When the count is less than one, then it will retry. So it will retry for a maximum of one time. Okay, so now what I want to do, I want to take that control to config properties. Okay, now I am introducing a new parameter here. Okay, let's say I want to name it as retry. Okay, retry failed test cases. Okay, this is the functionality, and the key is retry failed tests. Okay, test is the options are yes or no. Okay, it's always a good practice to tell them what they need to put there. Okay, so you can mention what is the options. Okay, good. Now retry failed test is the key here. Again, in our framework, we have already implemented some enums to avoid the string comparison issues. So we'll also need to add this in our config properties. Again, guys, if you're directly watching this video without watching all the old videos, you might not compare or understand what I'm teaching here, but please make sure you watch them. Okay, and here I'm going to include a new parameter, that is retry failed tests. Okay, I hope everything looks fine, and you can end it with a semicolon or not, it's up to you. Okay, now we have introduced this enum. Now let's try to alter this. Okay, so if property utils, that's where we have a hash map that will help us to get all the values. Okay, and the config dot properties. Okay, dot, I want to use the failed steps, sorry, retry failed test. Okay, if this is equals ignore case, okay, to yes, then I want to do all this thing. Okay, otherwise I don't want to retry at all. Okay, control A and control I, so that it will be aligned. Now if you notice, okay, if someone is choosing okay yes here, then if some of the test in your test suite get failed, it will be retried. If it is no, it will not be retried. Okay, that's, we have a switch now. Okay, now it is telling it's this is a local variable, so I cannot understand what is this. So let me create it here. Okay, boolean value, let me give a default value of false, so that if it doesn't enter this loop, if this block, then it will be by default false, so it will not be retried. Okay, only when this is true, it will be retried. Okay, good. Now it is showing some error. Okay, surround with try catch block, it's absolutely fine. Okay, do that. Good. And yeah, I think everything looks good now. So this will work absolutely fine. So we don't have to do a dry run. If you want, you can do that. For time being, I'm not doing that now. And also, if you notice, we have a small issue when we implemented our extend manager. So if you notice, we have added this remove method because SonarDint has suggested to do this because that's the efficient way that you can remove our value from your thread local. But if you notice, we haven't called it here. Okay, in our external report after flushing, we haven't called that at all. So we need to add that line to call it. Okay, so extend manager dot unload. So that's when your thread local variable value will be completely removed, safely removed. Okay, this is what we have done in even in our driver class, right? So here, once I quit the driver, I'm calling that unload method carefully, but I missed to do that in case of extend report. So that's the only change I want to do. Now we have fixed all the issues. Now we'll see how we can extend this to support for multiple process. Okay, so let's say here I have hard coded, for now. Okay, this is, if you notice, I'm creating a new Chrome driver, and then I have set it even the Chrome driver path. Okay, so now I want to get a string value. Okay, string browser. Okay, and then I can do a comparison here. If okay, browser dot equals or case with Chrome. Okay, then I want to do this. Okay, else if the same thing, but this time I'm gonna also include Firefox. Okay, and guys, in your case, if you want more browsers, you can add them. Okay, now the same logic, nothing gonna change, but this time I'm gonna create a new path where I can store my executables. Okay, let me copy paste it and to save some time. Okay, and instead of this, gecko driver dot exe. Again, guys, I have already added it into the executables. If you notice, I have already added to save the time. Okay, in your case, you have to, you might have to add it again. Okay, so I can mention as gecko driver path. Okay, now you can right click source. Okay, and then generate getters and setters, and generate a getter for this. Again, okay, you can move it here so that's much more readable. Okay, again, I want to just change a few things. Okay, good. Now here I can mention, instead of this, I want to get the gecko driver path. Okay, and here instead of Chrome driver, I want to open Firefox driver. Okay, good. So we are all set. Okay, but if you notice, this init driver method, I'm calling it from my base test. That's why it's throwing me error. Okay, see, when we are calling, we are calling without any parameters, but now it demands a parameter. Okay, let me open our Excel sheet from where we are driving our test. Okay, if you are new here, please do watch the previous sections, guy. So we have implemented data provider to fetch all the values from the Excel sheet. So this is the Excel sheet that we are using, okay, to maintain all these things. Okay, now I want to control. Okay, I have two test cases now, this login logout test and new test. Okay, now since this is yes, only this particular test will be ran. Okay, that's okay. Now I have three iterations in this particular test. Okay, now I want to run two of them. Okay, in two of them I want to run one in okay, one in Chrome and one in Firefox. Okay, then I can add a new column here, Chrome and then Firefox. Okay, the same way, if you can decide if you want to what browser you want to run those particular tests. Okay, so for now I am keeping it like this. Since this also will not be run, only these two tests will run, and most importantly, one will be ran on Chrome and another will be ran on Firefox. Okay, this is what we are going to achieve. Okay, again, this is not mandatory that you have to maintain this browser and C column. You can maintain it here as well, but the reason why I kept it here is because it's a kind of a mandatory field that we need to run our test. Okay, because your new test may or may not have username and password, but browser is something that's mandatory, so I keep it in the left side, leftmost possible column, so that it will be easy for us to change it. Okay, even your manual testers can come and choose what browser they want to choose to run. Okay, that's as simple as that. Now everything looks fine, but I need the value that what I'm getting from my the Excel sheet. Okay, let me go to the orange HRM test. Okay, this is where the data provider value we are feeding into our test with the map, the map. Okay, we are storing everything in a form of map, and then we are feeding it to our test. Okay, I try to use this. Okay, I try to use some parameters like data provider. Can I get the data provider value here? No, this is not possible because it has only few parameters. Okay, if you also want to understand what it can hold, see, it can hold enabled, you can have groups, you can pass some. This is the annotation, right? This before method is annotation coming from your test ng, and it only accepts these parameters: always run, inherit groups, description. You can give some description. Okay, you can also give first time only. Again, this is an interesting parameter that might be helpful if you are using a invocation count greater than one. If your invocation count is greater than one and you want to execute some statement only once in the before method, then you can give first time only to true. Okay, by default this is false. Again guys, I'll come to custom annotation later point of time, but for now just understand there is no way that I can get the values from my data provider to my at before method. This is not possible. This is not possible now. So how can I get this value here? Okay, I tried to inject method reflections. Okay, even with the reflections I can get get name, I can do get name, I can get annotations, but I cannot get data provider values. Okay, there is no way I can get the data provider values. Then how can I find that? Okay, so let me take it to a small example that I have tried how I know solve this issue. Okay, so this is the issue that we have. So so let I have already created this project. Okay, so this is, let's understand this issue with a small example. Okay, we have a test method, we have annotated with the data providers get data. So this is the get data provider. It is feeding me Amudan, Shaktivel and testing and minibytes as two set of values. Okay, so there is two iteration and each iteration having two values. Okay, so that's why I have given parameters as two. Okay, one is username, one is password. Okay, these two are string. That is very important. Now I want to have before method. So let me name it as public void setup. We are trying to break down this into a small case and then understand how we can fix this. Okay, so if you notice, I have to get the value of this consider Amudan here. Okay, so what I can feed. Okay, what I have tried, this is what I have tried. Okay, I have tried to do like this. Okay, and then I'll try to use username something like this. Okay, it didn't throw any error at the compile times. Okay, so when I try to run this, okay, let me try to run this. It threw the clear error. Okay, you cannot inject this particular thing. Okay, this is not possible. So this is the error that it has thrown. So from that I understood, okay, what and all the values that I can inject. Suppose if you notice, the error message clearly telling you can only inject these types: I text context, XML test method is coming from your java.lang.reflect method, and object array and I test results. Again, we have used I test results in after method, but object array is something that attracts my interest. So what I thought, okay, I just simply used like this: object array data, something like this. And then since this is an array, I want to see what this array is having. Okay, this is just an experiment, right? So what I did, I have converted this arrays. There is a method called toString, and then I passed this date array. Okay, so now this entire array I'm trying to print in the form of string. Okay, so let's try to run this and then check what's happening. This is how I exactly found an answer for this problem. Okay, I'm trying to give you this, not only the solution but how I approach the problem. Okay, so if you notice, it has printed me Amudhan Shaktivel. Okay, which means whatever the data it has feeded to my test method as two strings is now combined into a form of array, and then it is giving me that that object array. So Amudan and Shaktivel is now in one particular array, which is actually feeded as string. Okay, two string parameters. Now it has created an object array. The first index is having Amudan. Okay, and the second index is having Shaktivel. That's how it is. Okay, this is how it has given. Okay, now I got an option how we can work on this. Okay, the same thing what I'm going to do here. Okay, I will go to my base test, and here I don't want this reflection. Okay, what I want the object array, which is what coming from your data provider. So whatever the data provider is giving, it is giving me in the form of object array. So if you know, remember, we are passing a map of string comma string. Again guys, if you're new directly coming to this video, you might not understand, you might need to watch the previous sections. Okay, now this object array is having only one hash map. Okay, so I want to convert this. Okay, I want to get the zeroth index. Since this is having only one value, it will be in the zeroth index. I want to convert this in form of map. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Okay, so map of string string, and I'm trying to, okay, cast this. Okay, like this. Okay, once I do like this, okay, I can store this guy in map. Okay, control shift and O, you will import this whole thing. Okay, again, sorry guys, I need to cast the data of 0. So zeroth index, the element in the zeroth index. Again, my compiler is giving me a warning that it, see, you are trying to convert. I don't know what this object array is having. Since you know, Java is telling you don't know what you are holding here. If you are trying to if you are holding an integer here, if you try to convert to a map, it might throw you runtime exception like class cast exception. Are you okay with it? That's what it's telling. But as a user, I know that I am definitely returning a map of string comma string type, so it's okay for me. That's when you can just add a suppress warning to the whole method itself. Okay, so that everyone can understand there is some, you know, warnings that we have suppressed here. Okay, now I want to just get the browser value from this map dot catch. Okay, we have given the key value as browser, right? So that's what we have to do. If you notice, we, whatever the data that we feed it to our test method, okay, is a map. Okay, now this is available in a form of object array. In the zeroth index, the whole map is available. What I did, I just typecasted this so that I can use it in my uh, before method. That's what we have done. Okay, I also not only, you know, taught you how I know how to solve this, I also taught you how I approach the problem. Okay, this is how you need to approach your problem, guys. So now we are all set. Okay, let's try to check whether the whole thing is working fine or not. Okay, okay, close this everything and try to run this whole test. So we are now trying to run only two tests. Okay, one should run in Chrome and another one should run in Firefox. Okay, this is our expectation. Let's see whether it is working fine or not. So if you have not achieved this, okay, I might need to add this whole line in my as a first line here. Okay, as a first line here, I need to add this. That might be an added load on my test method. That's what we are trying to avoid. Okay, if you're okay with adding this as a first line here in your test method, then absolutely fine, you can do that. Again, it seems there is some problem. Okay, so there is some problem here. Let's try to understand what is the issue. Okay, still the driver executable, okay, property, the latest version can be downloaded from, I think there is a mismatch between the gecko driver version. Let me quickly fix this. Sorry guys, I think the problem is not with the you know, the driver executable version. It's actually with the value that I, since I made a copy paste, okay, I didn't, you know, change this. It was still having a, you know, set property key as webdriver.chrome.driver. Again, this is the problem with copy paste, but still, yeah. So I try to fix that. Now I think it should work fine now. These kind of things can happen, guys. Like, this is just a human mistake, right? So again, guys, if you find my video to be little slow, please change the playback settings to 1.5 or 2 so that you know, you don't feel any slowness. Okay, so suppose you think the video is little long, like 40 minutes, you can still you know, change the playback settings to 2 and watch it in 20 minutes. So please don't mind about the video length. I'll try to give as much as knowledge possible. So so it's up to you to decide how you can utilize this properly. Now it opened the Firefox as well. Now uh, you know, whether it is passing or failing, it doesn't matter, but the thing is, we are trying to achieve cross browser testing. Okay, but if you notice it, the test is not running in parallel. Okay, so the main reason is because, okay, if you notice, thread count is 1. Even though if you change the thread count to 2, since this both things belongs to a same test method. Okay, this is not working. Okay, so what I have to do, I have to either go to my data provider. Okay, so again guys, I need to go to this data provider, and then I need to change, okay, this attribute as parallel equal to true. So what I need to change, and it's executing the test again, because I have enabled this retry mechanism. So whenever it failed, it's retrying to fix this. So if you notice that one test got failed, again this is due to some browser issues. The logout button is not available. That's okay. I know the retry is working fine. Okay, everything looks good. The only thing that I had now is parallel equal to true. Even though the thread count is one, still this test will be ran in parallel. And most importantly, I don't want to retry. Okay, when this is failing, I don't want to retry. Okay, so I'm changing it this to no. Okay, let's try to run the test again, but this time this should run in parallel. And most importantly, if it is failing, it should not retry. That's what our ultimate aim. Okay, again guys, more interesting topics on exceptions, your custom annotations, Java 8, and a lot of interesting topics I'm trying to cover in this whole framework. Definitely the Docker is as well, coming. So we'll so now, if you notice, two browsers also launched at the same time. Okay, so we are doing parallel cross browser testing. Okay, so now our framework is ready to add more tests, guys. We will see how easily we can add a new test from in our next video. Okay, so until then, you all have a very good day. Okay, thanks for listening to me. Have a wonderful day, guys.